Slip capital femoral epiphysis or SCFE is a very complicated topic as per my PG experience, and this topic used to ask in MS exam in practical or in theory exam as well as the DNB ortho exam practical and theory. So I think if I can give you some basic information about this SCFE, you will be very much comfortable during your exam. And not only that, sometimes MCQ may come in PG courses or PG entrance exam. This SCFE is the most common hip disorder in adolescent, which can cause by slipping down and backward of the neck of a growing bone. Every growing bone has its three things. One is epiphysis, one is growing growth plate, and the metaphysis. If this grow any insult in the growth plate, that may cause the damage or slippage of this femoral capital epiphysis. Now, this slippage can occur in the weaker area of the bone that has not yet developed, means it is a disease of a growing adolescent child. The risk factors are excessive weight gain, obesity. Most common patients are above the 95th percentile of the weight, and sometimes there is a family history positive in case of SCFE. And the endocrine disorder like obesity, hypogonadal male, huge growth spurt, hypothyroidism, not treated or under treatment, or if patient is under growth hormone administration, or patient is suffering from a chronic renal disease, that can cause a weakness of the growth plate and easily can slip. And the skinning will not be done unless the clinical suspicion we can get. If we see the epidemiology, we can see the maximum obese child, especially male child with a positive family history in African or American group, most commonly affected by this disease. And the mean age is 13 to 12. Sometimes at least 20 to 60% patient may present with a bilateral slip dislocation or slip. The pathognomonic clinical findings, which is very absurd and not get any other disease of hip. This is called obligate external rotation. What is this? Due to slippage of the physis, when we try to flex his hip, normally the right side, the hip, when hip is flexed, the leg will not going to rotate if we flex the knee. But in case of SCFE patient, if we try to flex his hip and the knee, the leg automatically rotated, and this is due to the automatic external rotation of the hip that can cause internal rotation of the leg in flex knee. Got my point? So the attempt of getting flex of the hip getting externally rotated. So this is called obligate external rotation, is the pathognomonic clinical finding in case of SCFE or SCFE. Now clinical scenario may be associated with painful limping, intermittent going pain, unstable gait, antalgic gait, external rotation deformity, partial shortening of the limb, and limitation of the motion. The greater amount of the slip is the greater amount of the restriction of the motion. Very simple. And when we are going in details in SCFE, the first investigation of choice will be a plain X-ray. And hip in the hip we already get a normal hip to compare if it is unilateral. See, this is the normal hip, this is the normal facial line, this is the normal physis, this is the neck, growing neck, and this is the growth plate. Okay, now you can well appreciate this seminular portion is called the epiphysis of the femoral head, and this is the facial plate or growth plate. See, this neck is already subluxated or displaced, and the most common mistake that we used to do, that it may be a case of Garden type 1 or Delbert type 1 type of fracture or neck fracture. In case of child or pediatric age group, it may be taken as a Delbert type 1 fracture. Delbert is the classification of the neck of the femur fracture. I already discussed this in my unsolved fracture YouTube video, that you can understand who has seen this video, that there are 4 type of fracture. One is through physis, one subcapitate, one is basal, and one is intertrochanteric. So Delbert type 1 neck femur fracture may be a differential diagnosis of SCFE, but in that case there is a significant history of trauma, there is a significant history of a pain, and but in case of SCFE, they are especially in adolescent age group, rapid growth may be seen in this type of patient, and in the onset of puberty you can get this patient. So the age factor and the obesity and the endocrine problem, sometimes it may be bilateral, so we can easily understand. And the easiest line or easiest sign to understand this SCFE radiology is clean line. See, this is the normal hip, where if we draw a line through the upper line of the neck, that will cross the lateral part of the physis, obviously. But if in case of SCFE or a CFE, this line, if we draw a line, that will not cross the lateral part of the physis, rather it will medial to this line. So we can see easily or appreciate easily that this is a SCFE, a CFE. Okay, shift capital femoral epiphysis. Now another sign is called metaphyseal blench sign or steel sign. It is a crescent shaped sign area increase in the density over the metaphysis of the femoral neck. This density is produced by overlapping of the femoral neck and the posterior displaced capital physis. Okay, so in this case of this disease, how we progress further? If we want to grade this displacement, then we have a special type of X-ray Blaise classification system: mild, moderate, and severe. There is a angle is called lateral epiphyseal shaft angle, LESA, lateral epiphyseal shaft angle. What is this? See, this is the normal hip, where if we draw a line from the end of starting of the physis up to the end of the physis, then we draw a perpendicular line. Okay, and if we draw a line through the neck or of the shaft of the femur, there will be an angle. This angle is normally 10 to maximum 15. So this is called normal lateral epiphyseal shaft angle. Now in case of SCFE, if we see the lateral view of this hip, we have to see that how much is the angle. See, when this is the normal, this is the abnormal. If this is abnormal, if we draw this line, then it may be more than 30, so it is mild. If it is up to 50, this moderate. If it is more than 50, then it is called severe. But for your better understanding, just know the severity score, that's all for a undergraduate student. But for postgraduate student, you have to know, because there is some operative indication of this type of classification. But this is very difficult to understand. But if you see is closely, then if you see the normal, then you can see, appreciate the abnormal. Now, how we manage the case? Maximum cases are very have a very less severity, so we can manage it by a surface traction or a hip spica cast or an absolute bed rest. We have to follow this patient with a serial X-ray, and we have to see that tenderness and the degree of slippage. We can manage it, but sometimes the operative management are indicated. Among them, there are various options like percutaneous or open in situ pinning, or open reduction or internal fixation, or epiphysiodesis, means we can damage the epiphysis that can cause a growth slippage arrest, or we can do a osteotomy, or we can do a reconstruction, arthroplasty or arthrodesis, or chilectomy, means if there is any elevation we can cut it, so there will be no impingement in the femoroacetabular joint. Now, if we go in down in a pediatric hip, first of all, the head of the femoral head is vascularity is very precious, very precious. So we should not jeopardize a growing hip which is already jeopardized by the displacement. But sometimes in severe degree of dislocation or displacement or capital femoral epiphysis slippage, sometimes we may need open reduction for a very good satisfaction or operative satisfaction, and this used to done by safe surgical dislocation by anterior approach, and you can easily appreciate the head and the femoral head physis, and this is the neck, and after that we can reduce it and we can put a pin or nail or a screw. But what is the problem of this open operation? This is called Dunn procedure, okay? But see, this is the vascularity of the femoral neck. Now, as is already slipped, so this vessel going to tortuous. Now, when we used to go through this capsule, you have to cut the capsule, so some retrocranial vessel will gone. After that, we will reduce it, try to reduce it. So this tortuous vessel getting stretched, so it can again hamper the blood supply of a growing cartilage, because the obturator artery which is going through the acetabular fossa or orbital fossa and supply the femoral physis through the ligamentum teres femoris. This is developed good to develop this proper blood supply needs at least 8 years. So and 18 years, 8 to 18 years. So in this phase, transient phase, if we hamper this retinacular blood supply, that can cause more damage to the physis or more damage to the head. So better not to do this open reduction. What we can do a in situ spinning by we can use the SIAM. SIAM means a special type of X-ray machine which is tagged with a computer monitor, and we can see the displacement. We can try to manipulate by a fracture table, and we can put a small pinning, percutaneous pinning, that is enough for to prevent further slippage. But it is a surgically challenging procedure, and sometimes this pin can cause a persistent penetration of the physeal cartilage, because AP and lateral view is very understand to be very sure that we just cross this facial cartilage. So it is a technically challenging procedure, but it is the most safest, is the most effective operation and most brilliant operation if we can perform it very perfectly in a case of pediatric hip. We can avoid the jeopardization of the blood supply. We can avoid a big operation. We can avoid a big scar, and we can keep open the option of open operation or open reduction or any future operation if we do it percutaneously. Okay. Now, the fixation of prophylactic fixation of another hip is sometimes needed, but it is not routinely practiced. Why? Because if there is any slippage of this type of physis, there is a prophylactic chance. There is a chance of the slippage of the another hip, because patient try to limp on this normal hip. So there will be also a chance of this slippage. Now, when we are going to do any fixation of a normal hip, because to make understand the family member, it is very difficult, and that the problem is in this hip. I am going to operate this, and I am not sure about the result. Now I am telling, or I am off for another operation on the normal hip. The family member will not allow, but you have to give a talk to their patient, and you have to give a assurance that no, we are not doing any mistake. There is a chance of another problem on the normal side, so we are doing it prophylactically. So what are the patient? They are high risk patient, and sometimes some patient is very non-compliant patient, or don't obey the command. You have to do their operation, or these patients have suffering from any endocrinopathy or any renal problem, or children younger than 10 years at the time of presentation. So they are the patient for prophylactic hip fixation. Okay. Now, last but not the least, there is an operation is called epiphysiodesis. We can do it a bone break, but this operation has a much comorbidity. We just drill this neck portion and put we damage the physis and put a bone graft, and it will heal or automatically, and that will prevent the slippage. But as per my opinion, or as per my limited knowledge, we should not do a very big operation for this type of patient. But you have to know that. Just for that I put the slide. Now just a small revision. Slip capital femoral epiphysis is a displacement of femoral head due to distortion of the growth plate. It's just like a ice cream cone falling off its from the cone on radiograph, and painful limb with a referred pain to the thigh or knee. Most commonly seen in the adolescent obese male. We can treat it very nicely by a percutaneous screw fixation. Okay, I think you are quite confident enough now. Thank you.